Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here. Get ready for Gnosis. Well, time for another look at the great intellectuals. You know, those physicists that we all love and adore who solved all our problems and who sit around and gobbling goops, talking and babbling nonsense. You wonder why these people aren't in rubber rooms. But on the contrary, they're in nice little classy rooms and they are paid very high salaries to babble incoherent nonsense that is meaningless. And when they come to the truth, they disregard it. One of these goofball nutters is Don Page. Now, I heard of this guy in Leonard Susskind's book on the Black Hole Wars, which is a good book, and I'll give you a reference to it down below where you can listen to him himself talk about this guy, because I don't know if people think I am making up stuff. I know it's so outrageous that how could this possibly be true, Dr. Thor? You are losing it. So, but it is unfortunately very true. Just like so many of these physicists who believe in black holes that pop up anywhere and disappear. And, of course, Hawkins himself said there were no black holes. Then he said there was. Then they do hold information, and then they do destroy it. I mean, the kind of nonsense by that unfortunate cripple who can't figure out which side of the road he's on. But he was babied because this was a way to control thought through this really infirmed idiot who never really did anything when he should have been spending his time on medical cures. But that's a physicist for you. I'm dying, but I'm looking at the black holes. Unbelievable, yeah. Let's give a good thought to that. Yeah, that's my opinion. A little bit of that. Yes, Sean Carroll. So the whole idea is that Don Nelson Page, born in 1948, an American-born Canadian theoretical physicist at the University of Alberta. He was born in Alaska, maybe a little bit too far, maybe a polar bear ate half his brain. We're not really sure how that adds up, that he's a Canadian. So I guess he works in Canada. That makes him a Canadian. I'm not sure what that's all about, but he was born in Bethel, Alaska. His work first focuses on quantum cosmology and theoretical gravitational waves. Well, you know, that's very good, because this guy is also a born-again evangelical Christian. So believing in these fantasy worlds created by numbnut freaks certainly adds up to a good study for him. So the whole idea is that it fits in. And that's the problem with old Donnie here. And what's even further is that this guy, he is a doctoral student of the great Stephen Hawking, who could only say two things in 20 days because that's all he could manage through his apparatuses, which again, science failed to do anything to help him to communicate better. Oh, we love it. So, and he got his BA at William Jewell College in the United States in 1971. Not sure what kind of college that was, but we should look at it and find out who is there and slap them. But let me check out that college a wee bit. He got his BA there. Well, it's a Missouri Baptist College. And of course it is. It's a liberal arts college, and that's where he got his 4-year degree from before going on to these physicists. Well, that fits. Good training. We need more of that. And apparently there's problems with sexual assault. Of course, they're Christians. They're humping anything they can, and usually that means the same sex. But let's not get into Christian practices. So as we move on here, so that was in 1971. Obtaining an MS in 1972, I'm assuming from the same college, doesn't say, and a PhD in 1976 at that great bastion of knowledge. After all, that's where the Big Bang series. These were Caltech scientists who had to live together and had no money. Hollywood. He then went to Cambridge. So, certainly is highly educated and highly, allegedly very retarded. Even the famous Kip Thorne, he's mixed in with all of them. Hiding this little devil mask behind his big, you always tell these guys, they have these beards, they look like some sort of bizarre Christian cult. I'm not sure if anything else here. Page is and this is from Sewerpedia. The Page is an evangelical Christian. And him and William Craig and Sean Carroll were in debates. He states in a guest post at Carroll's website, in view of all the evidence, including both the elegance of law of physics, the existence of orderly experiences and historical evidence, I do believe that God exists and think the world is actually simpler if it contains God than it would have without God. Whoa, this guy has the brain of a flea. And I hate to really insult fleas. I mean, fleas do their job, whether you like it or not, and basically it's difficult to get rid of them. This guy, we should figure out a way to get rid of him. Wouldn't be too difficult. So he's saying that things make a lot of sense when you can believe in fantasy and say, somebody else made it. I can't figure this math out. So, God made it. That makes it simple and easy. And of course, that's what physicists want to do, because they usually just make up everything. Leonard Susskind, of course, is known for his string theory, which is now criticized and poo-pooed, which used to be the common thought of how things actually work. But it's just a fantasy, just like the statements and the God that this Don dude believes in. He stated to Leonard Susskind that he had proof that Jesus Christ was the Son of God using his math to come in a 96% success tile that this is a fact. And he spent 1 hour talking to Susskind, explaining his contrived mental goofball state where he should have been given a pill and taken to a rubber room. He spent an hour doing this. And of course we know, just like all the rest of the physicists, when they talk about nonsense that can't be proven in any way, well, here's the math that proves it, and I've moved all the things around and made up my own math to prove it. And that's what they do. As soon as they run into a problem, they create a new mathematical system to prove their nonsense. So here's a guy. Well, he's a theoretical physicist, which means I sit around guessing at stuff. It's complete nonsense. Now, we need practical people to do this kind of work. Not to guess, but then to put it on the table and make it work. That's the difference between a physicist and an engineer. An engineer can't say, well, if we had space dust and we all come from stars and we come in this weird thing and we're brain dust. Star dust, the humans are meant. This is nonsense. I mean, what kind of nonsense? But, you can talk like that when you are a theoretical physicist. If you're an engineer and you say, we got to make a bridge out of stardusty, and that's going to carry vehicles and take care of this problem, I don't think too many people are going to be interested in a stardust bridge. Do you? Not me. My car don't run on stardust bridges. So this is the big problem out there that we run into with this kind of nonsense that keeps us tied into this ancient thinking. And this is one of the problems of where we're stuck right now. We're stuck right now in this middle 1800s viewpoint perpetrated by a bunch of lunatics. We went into the 1800s. Of course, you got to remember that all of our science comes from the middle to late 1800s. If we're going to base it on the contrived stuff that Einstein came up, which all he did was rewrite a theory of somebody else had to explain it a little better. It was not his theory. So, does anybody know that? No. Yeah, we don't. So the whole idea is that if you want to give him credit for it, a guy who they thought was retarded most of his life, But of course, I like Einstein, and there's a certain intellectual value that you get. But we're stuck in this 1860, 1920 Middle European viewpoint. And we need to get past this. And we're still stuck in that today because the people that practice a lot of this are basically these people that think that way and come from that region of the world. Or at least they've studied there. So you're going to get nowhere thinking dinosaurs fly, and that's where we're at. So we need to get past that and understand the nature of the non-physical, as Tesla said, the genius that he was, not Einstein, who did absolutely nothing. And we have not had a breakthrough in physics in probably 200 years now. So it's that bad. So he believes it's simpler to believe in God because it answers a lot of questions that he don't have to think about and figure out. So, pretty sad. And this guy graduated from top schools, was a person who was allowed in to work with what is considered in the physicist community Hawking's the genius, the god, a guy who thought he was reincarnated, and because everything fit together when it really doesn't fit together. So it's one of those amusing little things that he thinks he's reincarnated. And has stated, yes, Hawkins believes he has reincarnated Isaac Newton, the goofball that Newton was, because he was, and get this, he was born on the same day that he was, which apparently, ironically, is Christmas Day. Now, I'm assuming Hawkins was done, but the bottom line is they were using different calendars, but this is Stephen Hawking, he can't figure that out. So he's too busy trying to come up with one sentence that takes hours and being worshipped by others because of this. Even though he really can't express himself, he can't write or anything else. And it's really sad, and I do pity the fool that he is. But the bottom line is that to have this as your idolized hero, I think says a lot about physics in general, because they ain't got nobody else. And, well, you're not going to criticize him. He's crippled. So Hawking claimed that he was born, I guess we can kind of confirm that, unless it's been changed, which I wouldn't be surprised, on January 8th, which is using the older calendars, the non-Roman calendars and Catholic calendars that we use now, because the British didn't do that. The British broke away from the Catholic Church and murdered tens of thousands of priests and hated the Catholics, which is perpetrated by their breakaway from the Catholic Church because they wouldn't give a divorce to, what was it, Henry VIII or whatever the story there is. On January 8th. So apparently this is kind of similar, but really it was actually January 9th that Isaac Newton was born. But I guess it's close enough. Just like the black holes. Oh, there's one right now. It's outside my window here. Okay, yeah, we can look at that. It's a black hole right there. Oops, it disappeared. Thank you, Stephen. You were right. So the whole idea is that this is the kind of nonsense you get. And his doctoral, I don't know if anybody knows what a doctoral advisor's, it claims in one article and other ones that Thorne and, who's the other goofball that they claim? Kip Thorne and Stephen Hawking was the actual doctoral advisors of goofball man Don Page. Hey, tell me, Don Page, what are the fantasies? So you got Dungeons and Dragons under your bed? Is that where you get your ideas from? So the point is, this guy is a complete bozo, and he's held in high esteem, and he thinks that it would be nice if we believe in God because it answers things so we don't hurt our brain. I was thinking the other day in the churchy there, and I kind of hurt my brain. So it's simpler if I just give my power up to a mythical being. Now, first of all, let's get this stuff. Now, all religions, whether they're pagan, Islam, Judaism, are all complete garbage. It's just stupid. Islam, Buddhism, all the pagan religions, it's all nonsense. Hinduism, all of this is garbage. So it does absolutely nothing. There's no proof of any of this doing. If you like the archetypes that these religions give you, then embrace what is there. But I've never met anybody that's ever followed their religion. They're deviants, they're perverts, they're cowards, they're crooks, they're criminals, and all of this can be found in your local church around the corner, particularly if it's a Christian church. But certainly there isn't a great giving or loving from any other religions, even though they all claim it. Just like the bleeding heart left-wing politics in this country, who cries for the poor, but the most liberal cities, Los Angeles, San Francisco, have hundreds of thousands of people living on the streets. So it's a bunch of mouth talk, huh? There's no money going from the rich Democrats, which is why they're losing. At least the Republicans don't give a damn and say it. But these crybabies certainly aren't doing anything to help, even though that's their policy. So this is the kind of stuff that goes on. So this nutball, this goofball, this guy who is short a full deck, who's limping on two legs, is unbelievable. So, of what is actually going on with this nut job, who's a born-again Christian type, and then uses his math, what he's been trained, and I'm assuming got grants to get all these degrees, to waste his time on mythical creatures. Now, let's get it clear. There's absolutely nothing in any literature, ancient, modern, past, out of the sky, fallen out of somebody's backside, that has ever mentioned this troublemaking Jew called Jesus, who, by the way, had to learn from John the Baptist how to be something. So he didn't have any of his own philosophy, he didn't get anything. So he trained under John the Baptist, and he was a rabbi, if you want to believe any of this stuff. So the fact that such a weakling religion would take over is kind of amusing on top of it. But there's zero references. There's nothing in Latin. There's nothing in Greek. There's nothing in Egyptian. There's nothing going back anywhere mentioning this. None of the Jewish scholars mention Jesus. Well, this tells me that there's a problem here. So if you're a rational person, you would look at that and say, gee, that really puts a lot of suspicion if this was actually a real person. The fact that some things in the Bible reference towns and other things means nothing. That's like saying historical novels of today are true because they mention New York. So it must be real. So this is the kind of nonsense that we run into and the kind of things that... These are the people that we are giving hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. We're giving millions and billions to the institutions that hire people like this. And you wonder, do you really wonder why we don't get anywhere? Yeah, it is a comical joke. And the joke's on us, and the money comes from our pocket, and we continue to sink deeper and deeper in the sick quicksand, reaching for our life, while these guys don't even throw you a rope, because they don't even know what a rope is. Until next time.